How on earth is OnePlus still making the best foldable on the market 9 months later, despite Samsung having announced its Galaxy Z Fold 6? Let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and way back in October of 2023, when this thing was released, it was a clear upgrade on Samsung's Z Fold 5. It had better screens, way stronger cameras, and a design and form factor that many reviewers, including myself, preferred to the equivalent Samsung. Fast forward 9 months and the Z Fold 6 has been announced with a revised design, camera cluster and form factor, but even with all of these changes, it still, for me, doesn't quite do what the OnePlus did 3/4 of a year prior. See, the OnePlus Open's regular phone form factor when closed is loved by many of us, and it's great that you can still use this big, bright, sharp and fast cover screen like you would any normal screen on any regular flagship phone. And the Open being less than 10% heavier than the 12, despite having double the amount of screens, makes it remarkably usable in this mode too. Throw in the unique and really useful 3-stage alert toggle that the Samsung still does without, and you have a hardware package that not only holds up against the Samsung with its solid feeling hinge and minimal crease, but actually bests it with a really well executed anti-glare coating on the inner display that makes a massive difference to outdoor viewability. My unit has held up pretty well actually, given I've used it a fair bit over the last 9 months, though I have used the included case on it pretty much 100% of the time because I'm just petrified of smashing the thing, and it's reflected in my unit looking pretty new, to be quite honest. No screen issues, no hinge crunching, overall a pretty solid experience, and in a wonderful shade of green too. This phone looks stunning. And it's funny, everything I praised the OnePlus 12 for, the Open does, but just with double the screens in the foldable space. Everything that makes the OnePlus 12 for me the best Android package on the market makes the Open the best foldable around. Because stuff like super high-end performance and excellent screen quality isn't just expected at this price point, it's borderline guaranteed, and so mentioning the impressive specs for both is kind of irrelevant. The displays are super bright and fluid so you can view them anywhere, and what you do looks really clear, it's crisp, it's smooth. For instance, I have yet to try a mobile display that's nicer to game on than the internal panel of the OnePlus Open, because you get minimal glare, a very understated crease, and yet this huge canvas that lets you see more, but that can fold away and be carried around like pretty much every other smartphone on the market. It's terrific. And the flagship Snapdragon chip, albeit a year old, and lots of RAM with the fixed ½ terabyte of storage means beyond zippy OS experiences with smooth animations and an almost seamless experience switching between apps. Your gaming experience is super smooth with consistent frame rates. The switch between screens feels instant, and you can fill up the screen with different applications without big hiccups or strange scaling glitches. Because the software that OnePlus has developed here to make use of the big inner display is fantastic. The Open has already had one of its 4 big platform upgrades, so expect it to eventually get Android 17, but the Android 14 that's on it right now has a fantastic split screen mode for multitasking that feels remarkably smooth, given just how much is going on the screen at one point. It means you can actually somewhat get work done on the Open, and even more so if you have a dongle and you can use wireless mouse and keyboard with it. Now, Samsung is offering more future updates here, which puts them ahead of OnePlus from that standpoint, but we're yet to see just how this hardware holds up after that many years, let alone the software, so we'll see what happens in 2, 3 or 4 years down the line. But what we do have right now is battery life, and there have been no real changes to my thoughts about this. The Open, just like the 12, has tremendous longevity, allowing for 2 days of usage when I'm not glued to my phone, and more often a day and a half, and then topping up is super quick too, with the 0 to 100 in under 45 minutes, with the included 67-watt brick, so a quick top up can give you that juice to take you to the 2nd or the 3rd day, even for heavier users. Some might not like the lack of wireless charging, and honestly I totally get it. For a phone that costs $1,500, it really should have wireless charging, and let's hope the next iteration does. But as I don't wirelessly charge any of my phones personally, it's not a big deal for me, and I'll stick to using the super fast wired connection. Overall, the OnePlus Open still offers the best battery life and charging package of any foldable, which is huge considering just how important longevity is. And the camera setup? Yeah, the Open is still one of, if not the best in its category, with the 3 big main rear sensors under the main ultra-wide and telephoto lenses, and then those are complemented by 2 excellent selfie shooters, both internally and externally. For anyone worried about the lack of 8K recording mode here that's present on the 12, and the Open's biggest rival, the Z Fold 6, don't be. The Ultra HD 4K 30 and 60 looks fantastic. Coming from the OnePlus Open is dialed with plenty of dynamic range and some natural colours too. Like the 12 though, its detail and sharpness isn't quite as good as you might expect for sensors with such high resolution, and the 1080p 240fps slow-mo actually looks better than I expected, so it's nice to see a good slow-mo option here on the Open. And if you've heard what I had to say about the 12's stills, then it'll come as no surprise that I am impressed with just how good the camera stack is on the Open, because it's almost identical hardware here. The Hasselblad endorsed colour science is doing the heavy lifting, as the processing is really where you can tell a good camera setup from a bad one. Of course, the hardware on offer here is still very good, it's the best on a foldable, but the white balance, the tonal capture, the contrast, the colours, the mood of the images is just right, and I'm sure that is very much down to the Hasselblad endorsed colour science. You're best off using the big main camera from the most complete shots, given it has the best sensor and the best lens setup, but the 3x optical telephoto works just as well in 6x thanks to the beefy sensor beneath it, and actually up to 10x is very usable. I've had some great long range shots with the Open, and you can of course use X-Pan mode, which emulates the legendary Hasselblad model that gives you a crazy wide form factor too. In fact, as I spoke about in my OnePlus 12 review, OnePlus's camera app is very comprehensive, with a great array of modes to choose from, some solid options and menus that keep advanced user features right out of the way but still accessible by those who do want to tinker. And being a bit of a camera geek, it's nice knowing that there's a foldable on the market that offers this level of camera performance in pretty much every scenario you chuck it in. The Open still has the best cameras on a foldable. Who would have thought people would be saying that about a OnePlus phone? And with OnePlus's first-party AI eraser tools for exterminating unwanted details from photos, you don't have to worry about Google Photos' maximum free limits on adjustments, which is handy if not quite as comprehensive or as powerful as what Google and Samsung are offering. Though I do feel like the AI eraser type tools are the most useful and the most used tools in those big AI suites, so it's at least nice that we have that one on the OnePlus. There are a couple of things I don't like about this phone. The camera bump is just so thick, it's ridiculous. It's way taller than the 12s, and its positioning means that actually using it in its standard closed form factor just kind of rubs on my finger in the wrong way. This might actually be the biggest complaint I have about this phone, and when you put a case on it, it does limit this. But Oxygen OS's update, where it made the quick setting shade look more like an iPhone's, is absolutely not to my taste either, but I guess you can't please everyone. Despite the lack of wireless charging, more advanced AI features, and very long format software support, OnePlus's Open is still the king of the large screen foldables. Between its unique hardware, excellent anti-glare coating that I just cannot mention enough, it is fantastic, and terrific camera setup, it's still top dog. I do hope we see a follow-up to this thing that addresses some of the issues, because as crazy as it is, the best foldable on the market still has plenty of areas to improve. This hopefully isn't the final form. But what do you make of the OnePlus Open, guys? Let me know in the comments if you'd buy one of these, or maybe you're looking for the next iteration, the potential successor to this thing, or if you're on Samsung, or if you just don't care about foldables at all. That's also a valid opinion. While you are down there in the comments, do hit like if you enjoyed today's content, and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss another upload. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.